So hi everybody, this is
Hello
Parul with
everyone.
me, and I'm Avilasha, and I'm the person behind Poetry Earthlings, and I'm also known as Storyteller Earthling. So as we all know, it's Earth Day today, and in appreciation and awareness, and to respect the fact that we are here in this planet, which is hosting us, even if briefly, and there's so much the Earth has to offer. We poets mostly write about the planet, inspired by the planet or nature in appreciation. And while we do, we also equally raise awareness about the fact how important the earth and nature is to our existence. And we all know the implications of pollution and global warming and climate change, and how it impacts this planet and the natural world that sustains us. And if we don't
Right.
take care of the planet, we are not taking care of ourselves, our own existence deteriorates. So because of all these factors, we decided that, today is Earth Day. Why don't we just do a small event where we just talk about poetry? We read poetry about the earth and appreciation, just for awareness and just to enjoy the fact and the beauty of this planet.
Happy Earth Day. And I somewhere read that every day is Earth Day. And
Yeah.
there are such viewpoints shared that why do we really need an Earth Day? But it is so ironic that although our very existence, I mean, we are nothing. We are just like nothing without Earth. Like Earth is our mother, as we say. But despite that fact, sometimes how we can, we take it for so much for granted, and how many times do we really pause and take note of the miracle, that Earth is? So I think it makes celebration of Earth Day very important. And thank you, Avilasha, for organizing this Earth Poetry Hour. And it's all because of Poetry Earthlings that we all are here today to celebrate and appreciate our planet. So, how wonderful is that?
Thank you. Thank you for such, these are the words of support and appreciation that keeps me going. Ultimately, it's a community, and I think without all of us, even Poetry Earthlings is nothing.
I can tell you from my perspective, like I love to write on nature, but despite that fact, sometimes these themes they just escape our attention, and it's because of platforms like Poetry Earthlings. They keep us inspired and reminded that these are important things to think about and share our perspective on.
Like you said about the fact that the more we write about something, the more we talk about it, we raise awareness. And I have been fortunate to come across so many beautiful poems. It's about how has the poet or the poem impacted you, and how has it made a difference. And I was like, and this is the reason why I realized, let's do a live and just cherish the beauty, they have in the in between the verses. So let's start with it.
Let's
And
start.
first and foremost, yeah, it's my honor to be able to read your work, Girls, Poetry and More, which is Parul, who is here with me today. It's called Waiting for Persephone. So it goes like this. Dead leaves fall alone. All the flowers, where have they gone? Nightingales, cuckoos, why don't they call? Why is the sun somber at dawn? Trees naked, leaves shorn, roses withered, left with thorns, shrill winds and bitter cold, tattered nights and days forlorn. O Persephone, why have you gone into the deep caverns of the underworld unknown? As you descend into the darkness, the earth cries helpless, bereft of her beauty, she waits in acceptance. As she withstands the frosty gale, the earth guards her unshakable faith, that after all the twigs fall pale, and the gloomy clouds have rained, after all the plants turn frail, and all the bright hues fade, the spring shall knock at her gates. You, Persephone, shall ascend again, to bless the earth with your holy grace, when the flora and fauna can thrive again. You mentioned about how spring shall knock her gates. That was so poetic, right? Like, we need Persephone to bless us with, you know, greenery and agriculture so that we can thrive. It's
Yes.
everything. It's life on earth is dependent on her. And if she goes away, we'll wither, right?
Right.
Beautiful message.
Yeah. the whole that folklore behind Persephone is very fascinating. It is believed that during winter she goes underground, and then she again comes back during the time of spring. In fact, when she comes back, there is a story behind that. So when she comes back, the spring again is revived. So that
Okay.
whole yeah, that whole
Okay.
folklore is
It's
very
a
interesting.
Greek,
Greek, yes, yes.
yeah. It's a
So
Greek
I think
mythological story.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. So this whole, the way that story is weaved, we can actually visualize, during the
exactly.
winter, that everything is barren, and then the spring comes. So, we can very easily connect that actually the goddess is coming, and suddenly everything is like blooming. So it's very fascinating, the whole concept of Persephone.
Yeah.
Now it's my turn to have the honor of reading wonderful poetess Avilasha's piece here. The title is Being an Earthling. And
Yeah.
that's how it goes. When, when an egret, the color of source, flying across the grey skies, dazzles in white, and I didn't witness it. This contrast of shades finding its way into my verses, did it exist at all? I'll read once again. When an egret, the color of source, flying across the grey skies, dazzles in white, and I didn't witness it. This contrast of shades finding its way into my verses, did it exist at all? Or when sparrows ramble day long in their perfectly tuned choruses, songs of appreciation through the eyes of source, if I did not hear, did it exist at all? Or the way the wind is making these trees sway, the same trees longing for movement in the wake of being rooted, if I did not experience it, did it exist at all? Or this heaven of green diversity, shades and shapes, uncountable intricacies, and the way the rain feels as it falls, or the wise mountains sound in words that don't exist but echo in the medium, in me. The same zest in the menace chattering and that unknown storyteller bird in animated ease and the feistiness of mountain streams as they gush through rocks, as if Source itself was speaking in that same voice without words, echoing the one in me, and I turn to poetry in reflection. Perhaps this is what is being an earthling. It so beautifully describes that whole concept of earthling. I don't think it can be expressed any better. And like from what I understood from these words, like uh, all the beauty that we see around in nature and how we perceive it, how that perception goes in our mind, in our heart, how we perceive it, and that kind of connects us our deepest with all the beauty that we see around in the nature. That connectedness makes us
Yeah.
and all everything around earthlings.
This poem happened on its own. And because I actually saw an egret fly the other day, and it stuck in my head watching the white bird flying against the dark skies. It stayed with me and it came out like, and so being an earthling basically is like we are here on this planet briefly, and like we're on a trip. We when we are on a trip, when you're traveling, we see only the good things. We see the best of a place. So if we
Right.
look at it from that perspective as an earthling, if we're a traveler, then we are, collecting the beauty of this planet. And just as a poet, probably, or as an artist, what we do is we use our dominant art form to appreciate it. So as a poet, I use poetry to describe the feeling or basically keep that feeling alive. I'll go ahead and read the
Yes.
next poet. This
Yes.
is by Rob Boski.
Okay.
Boski 2022 is his username. So this goes like this. The discovery of recovery may have burned down to the flicker, as man turns his gun on his own son and tastes his father's liquor. Of squeezed survival, through past denial, ignored revival stirs a fate. An entwining vine, a strangled vine, bleeds this wine from time's own gates. What is recognized dawns a new surprise as nature turns her head, not through jeopardy or empathy, but tragically, its dread. The circumference of discomfort as we spiral sideways behind what we could be yielding nature's field within a field brimmed of good. Except ignorance has no significance in a diffidence of absolute certainty that's probably belonging to record. An evolution of devolution as the empires chose no sun, as the land reclaims its hand, man to send, all to none. I think it brings out the stark reality of
Stark reality.
the
Yes.
problem at hand. Yes. On the face, this is hard facts, like this is it. This is the problem. We're not going to sugarcoat it, romanticize it, right? Love the straightforwardness of this piece. Like it
Yes.
hits you.
We now will move to the next piece, which
Yeah.
is by the amazingly talented poetess Cloda. And here it goes. We are all just mere earthlings. We are all just mere earthlings visiting this planet for a while. We didn't inherit the earth, we are her caretakers for some time so that our grandchildren too can enjoy all of the beauty that the earth beholds, the magnificence of her greenlands and waterfalls that flow. To sh- excuse me, to share with them our wildlife that never became extinct. Future generations will be grateful to us, I think. So, in very simple words, very relevant and important message has been shared by Cloda, and I really like although the whole piece is very beautiful, but the way it begins, we are all just mere earthlings visiting this planet for a while. We didn't inherit the earth; we are her caretakers for some time. We need these poems. We need these reminders again and again to not to take our planet for granted.
I think but Cloda echoes the Earthling aspect that I had said we are visitors of this planet,
Yes,
and
yes,
but she adds to it by calling us caretakers. I think a change in perspective is needed right now more than ever, especially the younger generation. If you think
absolutely.
differently, I think we'll start behaving differently, and we need that. Yes. So I'll go ahead and I'll read Michelle. Her username is Autumnal Fire.
Yeah,
So it's called Earthling. At
yes,
times, I feel like a parasite, living off another living thing, the strong Mother Earth going about her days with us, monkeys on her back, weighing her down, slowing her down, wearing her down, and I take and take her precious stones, her flowing water, her wildflowers, and I must give back to her in what small ways I can, with my gratitude, with my soft attention, with my persistent kindness. I love how it begins
yes,
like we call ourselves parasites, but then in the end, like the way it ends, like how do we give back? I love the
yes,
positivity in the conclusion. Yeah.
yes. The next piece, which is by uh, Cham Klinger, that is the
Yes.
name of the poet, and the name of the page is also Cham Klinger. And I'll go ahead with the reading. Untrodden, that is the name, that is the title, Untrodden. How vast
Yeah.
is this earth? How vast is this earth? How little have I yet seen? Such treasure I have, time to wander, time to smell and taste and feel and be, time to savor, time to share. Come, walk with me, untrodden paths, ancient trails and new. Come, rediscover, come, wonder, come, find your awe. with me. Such a wonderful miracle Earth is, and it's important for us to take that time. Such treasure I have, time to wander, time to smell and taste and feel and be. So it's important to take that time out of our busy lives and really appreciate the magic that we get to live every day.
If you notice it, like we've been reading poetry, some are in stark appreciation and some are like setting the problem. Like we see the difference, right? Like both sides are equally important. We have to also
Really
pinpoint
important.
the problem and at the
Yes,
same time appreciate. I think appreciation is the first step. Before we even do something, we need to start
right.
paying attention. Like
Yes,
not try to solve a problem in a way that we know better, but rather in sync with, be in harmony with nature and then solve the problem. I think that's what my personal belief is.
and I also think that while acknowledging the problems, it's important also to keep the spirits high and always acknowledge the see the beauty around, and also uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that keeps us going. That balance is important.
Both acknowledging the problem and also not losing the beauty that's already there. So I will read the next poet by
Yes.
Heidi Henley, Earthlings. We are Earthlings, an epoch planetary creating 4.5 billion years in the making, stardust and elemental stuffing, proven by scientific carbon dating, same as the dinosaurs, the oceans and the Himalayas. We are Earthlings. Oh, of that there is no mistake. AI, advanced intelligence, dominating, always taking. But here's some news that's breaking. Mother Earth is aching, fires raging, waters rising, and magma cores quacking. It's time to stop political debating in exchange for solid, earthling policymaking. That's not groundbreaking. It's really what's waking. Let's speed up this Earth retaking and habitat creating, a humanitarian undertaking that all Earthlings have a stake in. There's no more waiting or space-time escaping. The fact that science is translating, climate change is accelerating, and the heartbreaking truth that Earthlings are only waiting for the final detonating, catastrophic, devastating. Wake up, Earthlings, to some joyful motivating. We can help and heal for real. No idealistic speculating. Do your part. Mother Earth is waiting, but she won't wait long.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I'll read the last slide again because it's the message by the poet. It says, "Wake
Yes.
up, Earthlings, to some joyful motivating." Like we both said earlier, the balance. Wake up,
Hmm.
Earthlings, joyful motivating. We can help and heal for real. No idealistic speculating. Do your part. Mother
Right.
Earth is waiting. We can still make a change. Like with climate change, we can still reverse climate change, right? But she won't wait long.
So now I'll move on to the next one. Name of the poet is Jerry Hobbiel, and the name of
Yeah.
the piece is One Toe Glued. That is the name of the page. And before the
Yes.
poem begins, there is a slight background that the poet has given. So I'll read that. I have been mulling over your Earth Day prompt for a few days, wondering how to give voice to my thoughts. Then I remembered this view I caught a few weeks ago of those naked trees reaching for a bluer than blue winter sky. So this is the background. So this poem is, when I read, you will come to know it's related to those naked trees which we see in winter and how they reach out to the blue skies. So now I'll begin.
Absolutely.
Though we be winter dead, life perseveres still, deep within the very heart of us, the great trees and humans alike, anticipating the call to wake and dress in all our finery to meet the coming sun. So I think that's a very beautiful metaphor, that those naked trees, how, and sometimes even I can so much relate with this thought. I also like many times wonder, those trees, they look so lifeless. And when the spring comes, suddenly they are oozing with life, leaves and flowers. And when one sees during winters, one can hardly anticipate that there's so much life inside them. So that's a
Absolutely.
beautiful parallel drawn with the between humans and those naked trees. That we are waiting for sun, just like those trees, and we may have uh, you know dejected hearts, but waiting for sun to bloom like trees wait for sun.
The barren tree is waiting for, like, it open arms to spring when it will flower, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
such a hope-laden metaphor. I'm going to read another poet, and this poet is called Glamsiant Chelsea. So I'll read. I'm soft and humble, yet unafraid to share space with titans, entities unfathomable, spirits born from the depths. I'm a guest in the great hall. Quietude surrenders me, dissolving me into the air, the empty space. Here she comes to me, the truest part of me, for I'm made of her living body. My heart turns over to hers and our sacred oneness endlessly present in time. She shared a photo of her visiting this very big, beautiful cave, rocks, and when she says to share space with the titans, entities unfathomable, spirits born from the depths, she's soft and humble as a human, but she's not afraid. So that, and then she finally, feels that sacred oneness, which is endlessly present in time. Some beautiful verses, very spiritual, very wise, very beautiful all at once.
This is by Mary, and the name of the page is A Poet's Whispers. So here it begins. She is a stage, we are at play. So to make it easier, she is being referred to Earth. Okay. So she is a stage, we are at play. Listen to the stunned stars no longer applaud. Listen to the stunned stars no longer applaud. Restless the moon, dual the sun, and she, old, cracked boards, unduly steadfast, assumed by man's shoed feet. Growth is less, mentality flees, no emanation, not even a trickle of tears run below that stage of old. Spacious, enacting blind to the world. Spacious, enacting blind to the world. Evanescent she, through drought, flood, and fire, which has conquered earthly shrub. A sign we are oblivious to, a pantomime of despair, amusingly unaware, our theatrics continue. We are the draught in a cozy room, killing her softly.
Killing her
She
softly.
draws,
Yeah.
killing her softly, she draws tattered drapes, the end of the show. Left breathless, we endure her tears. 40 days and 40 nights, we are the audience of our own debut. The audience of our own debut. We are playing this whole um, uh, these theatrics, and we are watching this whole play unfold, oblivious to the damage that we are causing. And I like the part, evanescent she, through through drought, flood, and fire, which has conquered earthly shrubs. So like how our actions are causing um, damage to earth, and we are oblivious to it. And pantomime of despair, that's a wonderful phrase. So this play is nothing but
Absolutely.
pantomime of despair. So lovely.
It's
To
the
our
perfect
theatrics.
tragedy. Very Shakespeare, like we are the characters, we are watching our own demise as audience, and like we are, and this is a perfect description of what's happening right now with Earth,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful poem, brilliant piece. So
Yes.
without much ado, I will be reading a poet called TP underscore Russell. So I'll read, and the poet numerically names this piece as 1885. And yeah, so I'll read. We all can smell the dank decay of death and deep decline, and yet we live from day to day like everything is fine, pretending that the world is well and will forever be, while all the while the solemn knell portends catastrophe. We came into a paradise where all was lush and green, but living thus did not suffice to quell out hungering. For every time we saw excess, we greedily consumed and tamed the wilder wilderness, which steadily succumbed to pressure till there was no ground we hadn't stepped upon, and we'd consumed all we have found, till all was nearly gone. And we still have a chance, I think, to turn it all around before we step across the brink to lose what we have bound. And work for eternity. That was all. Sorry. And work for the eternity that was and still could be, where Earth in her fertility is home for you and me. The hope in every poem, I think that's so powerful. Every poet, including Russell's poem so beautifully, like he starts with how we pretend, like we can smell the decay, but we pretend like everything is fine, but we still have the chance, to change things. We still have a chance to work for the eternity that was and still could be, where Earth in her fertility is home for you and me, the fertile planet Earth. Yeah.
The last curated piece, and it is by the page The Poetic Peacocks. That is the name
Yes.
of the page, and this poem is a personification of Earth. So I really liked it, and it is titled "The Song of Earth." To all my lovely sapiens who made me ill and lame. To all my lovely sapiens who made me ill and lame, I call myself a mother, so I still love you the same. I still bring out my son to dry out your ponds of pain, pulling away all your tears and shredding them as my rain. Give me a moment. The
Sure.
unseen air around you, whose purity you have snatched, is still filling up in your lungs, cause I have let it dispatch. The unseen air around you, whose purity you have snatched, is still filling up in your lungs, cause I have let it dispatched. I still feed you, my child, with all the edibles that I can. So what made you slaughter those animals who are but a part of my clan? And as you walk on my land, knocking all the greens that you spot, forgetting about the future floods, fertility of the soil, and what not, grassy hair on my soily skin shivers on spelling your name. I call myself a mother, so I still love you the same.
The last
So,
line, like,
yes,
yeah.
grassy hair on my soily skin shivers on spelling your name. I call myself a mother, so I still love you the same. This is so powerful. And, first of all, it's like personification as a mother. It's like a motherly scolding from Earth. So,
Yeah.
firstly, I want to thank Avilasha for this prompt, Earth Day, which really inspired me. I enjoyed writing this piece that I could, express my love for this planet, which surprisingly, we don't do that as we discussed earlier. So I
Yeah.
have to thank Avilasha for it. And I enjoyed writing it, and I hope I can make you happy with this piece. So I'll enjoy. I'll just start reading. It's titled Earth. Turquoise, turquoise, emerald ball, whirling like mystic in cosmic dance, spinning along serendipity sublime, spinning along serendipity sublime, a magic magnificent known as life, ambulating around gigantic heat flames, weaving wondrous nights and days, precious pride of the Milky Way, circled by moon, pearly playmate. Just the right warmth, just the right cold to sustain the plethora of life it holds, intriguing mysteries within its folds, gripping it all with gravitational force. Rotation, revolution, eternal evolution, epitome of equilibrium, our extraordinary planet Earth.
Yeah. I remember reading this poem. Like it's like you bring out the truth. It's like without the Earth's perfect conditions, we won't be alive. And we don't
Yes.
acknowledge that. The most
Yeah.
simple
So
truth. I mean, I'll read Emma Liv Yoga's poem. Yeah. And Emma, when she shared this poem, she also shared a beautiful image of a bird's feather. And we'll see the relevance of the feather. So I'll read the poem first and I'll tell you what it is about.
okay.
Clipped, vicious with crude oil resin, she slunk through the turrid sandbanks, dragging jet-slicked wings, frightful appendages hung like weed on blackened shipwreck hull, gulled by man-made substance, unbejeweled, shorn of light, pitiful sight. So it's about like how a bird, it's there was this oil when, for example, because there's a lot of oil spill which keeps happening, in the ocean. And imagine the impact of such an oil spill on the or to the wildlife. So this bird, imagine a bird is flying, her wings are clipped with vicious crude oil resin, and she slunks through turrid sandbanks, dragging jet-slicked wings. Her jet-slicked wings, she's dragging them. And then she ends up on this in the beach, like she falls on the beach, but that's a shipwreck hull. Even the beach itself is like filled with wreck. Like it's not a
Mhm.
clean beach again. The ocean is filled with oil. The beach is filled with human waste. And
Right.
imagine the pitiful sight. Like
Right.
that poem, this poem, and she mentions there is no planet B. This is just one example of what is happening in the world right now. This is the end of the poetry reading, and I really
Yes.
appreciate everybody who has been here watching us. A precious time of your existence on planet Earth. You're sharing with us, joining us in appreciation and misery. Like, when we talk
Uh,
about the planet's misery. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
and
let's
and coming together to raise awareness. Like you are, because you guys are watching, you're giving us the space to express, which is everything. The impact has been made in our own,
yes.
like
Yes.
in some poets' words, in our small ways of appreciation and kindness and gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.